Good morning, Uganda. How are you doing? Hope you're okay. It's Monday and a fresh one. Of course, we are attacking another week of December hardly and swiftly wherever you are. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. This is What Means Business. And into the second hour of the show. The first hour I did kickstart off at 6:30 a.m. taking you through the news recap and entirely business updates as they are coming up through. Well, today in the morning, if you look at some of the updates that we do have for you, Uganda has been ranked among the top 10 countries in the industrial development across Africa. But not only that, I do have the press review with me as we're going to be looking at more of what is making headlines away from mainstream media in regards to television. But away from that, also, we shall be having the traffic updates in what looks to be a fully packed fast 30 minutes of the second hour of your daily Kickstarter. This is Smart 24 TV, where we definitely drive your business. Hope your morning is moving on okay, and I do hope that as well, wherever you are catching up the show, you are definitely doing so by also adding us up on our social media platforms. Twitter, Smart 24 TV. Instagram is Smart24_TV, and then obviously Facebook is Smart24 TV official. Well, also besides that, if I'm to remind you quickly, also look onto our YouTube channel, is Smart24 TV Live. Please do remember to subscribe. That will be definitely a quick add up onto our ever-growing social media brands here on Smart24 TV. Well, besides that, now let's start off with our news update here regarding Uganda being ranked among the top 10 countries in the industrial development. This follows up the African Development Bank coming up with the Africa Industrialization Index 2022. Now, what does this mean to Uganda's industrialization? Well, pretty much the situation indicates that Uganda being ranked shows that the policy of industrialization and attracting more of the investors in Uganda has started to reap off big and to pay off, as the country is now registering increased improvement in manufacturing of value added groups. The government has for a long time been making sure that this happens and ensures that everybody amongst the industrialization value chain in the country is benefiting and adding to Uganda. Well, the top 10 performers in terms of ranking, according to the African Development Bank, included Djibouti, Benin, Mozambique, Senegal, Ethiopia, Guinea, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ghana, and of course Uganda among the top 10. Now, country by country comparisons, according to African Development Bank, did reveal that Uganda and Kenya are in the upper middle, while in the progress across the other countries that make up the top 10. But also, if you to look at this in the other way, there is the rest of Central Africa has the likes of Gabon, followed up by Equatorial Guinea, and then the DRC, which is also in the upper middle. Meanwhile, Congo and Cameroon fall under the middle, so amongst the other countries that were registered. The African Industrialization Index provides a country level assessment of how countries have been performing in terms of the industrialization strategies, and then how the different countries and governments are laying foundations to ensure that their countries are benefiting, or their countries are also growing, and then the citizens of these specific countries are becoming more and more reliable to their industrialization sector. Well, if we are to as well look at that strongly, you get to realize this is where Uganda wants to be moving. This is where Uganda wants to improve, and more we are attracting investors, not only from the local scene, however, also mainly looking at the foreigners who are coming into the country. Well, besides that, now if you look at the African Development Bank as well as the African Union and UNIDO did jointly launch the inaugural edition of the index on the sidelines of the African Union Summit on industrialization and economic diversification in Niger. So the index indicates that 37 out of the 52 African countries have become more industrialized over the past 11 years. Now, the index uses 19 indicators to score industries from different countries with manufacturing, capital, labor. Then if you look at business environment, there is infrastructure and macroeconomic stability, all amongst the other things that do take the lead amongst those things that are supposed to be highly recognized. Now, South Africa did maintain a high score throughout the period, followed by Morocco, then looking at Egypt, Tunisia, Mauritius, and Eswatini did round off the top 6. The other countries have been mainly looked at as promising in the next few years to come. So this is a very huge statement for Uganda's industrialization sector. Better yet, Uganda Investment Authority that looks at tapping into opportunities that are available into the sector to attract more of the foreign investors as well, because the more they do attract them, the more industries are going to be set up and creating employment opportunities for the Ugandan people, and the entire situation of eradication of poverty across the country by the NRM government is ideally something that you could look at and you see that it is viable indefinitely. And of course, with that particular update kickstarting it off for all the investors out there, mainly those from the local scene, you get to realize that it's very important for you to wake up in the morning and get all these updates, because it is quite important for us, the Ugandan people, that we are moving into the rightful direction in regards to investment, mainly through the world of industrialization and manufacturing. The manufacturing sector growing steadily fast and also showing more results that Uganda's industrialization will spark off and will definitely give us results that we wish to have. An eradication of poverty and also creating employment opportunities for our ever-growing market is something that is definitely viable, as I should say. Now, besides this particular morning update, let's switch our eyes to the press review. Right, now with the press review, the Daily Monitor says why NSSF's Byarugaba contract isn't renewed. That is after a new acting managing director was announced last week. Now, one of the reasons in here with the Daily Monitor shows that whereas other sources claim that the Gender and Labour Minister Betty Amongi, the appointing authority, withheld her signature on Richard Byarugaba's contract over refusal to the approved 6 billion shillings she requested. The former says investigations are underway in some dealings. So this is according to the Daily Monitor. You can find out more and more on why Mr. Richard Byarugaba did have his contract renewed as the MD National Social Security Fund. Now, also on the other issue of progress, government has launched Braille Constitution. That is another one where you could definitely see this particular constitution is mainly to help those with people with disabilities. So tracking down people with disability is definitely one of those clearly of the things that you would be watching in here with the Daily Monitor. Now, also on the other hand, the government has listed 40 countries. Which 40 countries where you can travel without visa? So you as a Ugandan traveler, a business person who looks at traveling and growing your business, well, this is one you could want to look up for. Then there's also another one regarding more than 24,000 schools which have failed to register learners, here in the Daily Monitor. There is also a special report with the Daily Monitor regarding gold mining, which is threatening biodiversity, aquaculture, and more in Lake Victoria. So this is what it is actually coming in. Also on page 3, East African community is set to delay in attaining one currency. Reasons behind that you can open up and follow up, as also Rubaga boss, that is RSC, Addison, Burora, and Kampala City Council Authority have clashed over suspended activities. Well, away from the Daily Monitor, we look at the New Vision as well. There is something regarding absenteeism. Now, government workers face pay cuts due to absenteeism at their workplaces. Where are they and why are they not present on a daily? This is what is actually being highlighted here in the New Vision this morning. It's Monday. Then also President Museveni has tipped youth on fighting graft. This is following the youth symposium at the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on Saturday. There is a pictorial here where President Museveni met some of the young people as well as most of those working under the service sector in the country. Then there was also an interview with the new acting managing director of NSSF, Iota, who has set new priorities for NSSF. Then there's also another report regarding national water marking 50 years, and then there's a post of after posting 109 billion shillings in profit in the 50 years of the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. Then from the East African here, you could see President of the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, using M23 to delay polls, according to President Paul Kagame. Now, the Rwandan president, in a speech critical of his DR Congo counterpart, suggested that Kinshasa does hold the key to peace in its eastern region, but chooses to blame Kigali. Now, lastly, Juba shown no interest in the ESC. How about that particular report? That is something that you would wish to get more and more. Well, besides that, now let's cross our eyes to the traffic updates this morning and see what is making headlines from there, pretty much to understand the scope of the current situation in traffic in the country, as pictures and images are coming to you live this particular morning. And that is according to what the traffic flow is like at Kalere, in areas of Kalere Market, to those who are actually moving into Kampala now. That is according to what you can see at is real-time traffic flow in Kalere, as you can see the images in there. Of course, when you look through, it is a busy center, it is a busy suburb in Kalere now. People are already awake. Kalere Market areas and the neighboring areas already. You can clearly see that most of the people here have already woken up in the morning now, rushing to their different workplaces, especially those who are actually moving into Kampala. The other taxis that you can see, the traffic that is actually coming in, the traffic flow that you can definitely see, the records in there clearly shows you that the people who are the taxi operators now are already making some good money. Already most of the taxis are filled up as we are heading to Kampala. Then the people around the Kalere markets always wake up by 5:30 a.m. Most of the traders are already awake and ready to catch the next money that comes their way. But of course, Kalere is a busy center, as you can see, one of the busiest city suburbs around, and it's already tight in terms of traffic. And if you're to look at the situation that is coming up now, you can see that it's a bit stiff. The flow of the vehicles has already slowed down due to a lot of traffic congestion, and of course we're heading into the festive season. And the reasons as to why we're heading as we are heading into the festive season, this is one of the reasons as to why you get to realize that for any other person in such a situation, you either have to wake up quite early to beat this traffic, or you're going to be wasting some good time, or you will be delayed by the traffic jam that is really tight in most of the morning time and morning hours, normally on a daily from around 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So it is better for you to hit the road by 6 a.m. if you want to reach quite early in most of the areas as you're moving in. Now, for the other areas, as you're heading back to, for example, those who are actually heading to Waise areas, those who are heading to the other situations, you get to realize that the traffic flow is not as tight as those people who are actually moving into Kampala. But for the people who are actually coming into Kampala are facing some serious traffic, and it's something that you could have to ideally work on. To those people who are actually heading to areas of Namungona, you can see it's a freeway. It is still not tight as such. So, which shows you that it is a morning whereby most of the people are actually moving into the city. Most of the city dwellers, people who are moving into Kampala, are the ones that are actually causing now the traffic, because all the traffic is being caused now, the traffic jam rather, is being caused by those who are moving into the capital of Kampala to catch that money this early morning. It's Monday, and of course Mondays are always times when people are waking up in the morning to look through how the new week is, and you can see the traffic jam. For those of you who are now moving into Kampala and you're going to be using that particular route, that is what you're going to be experiencing, that kind of traffic flow, that very tight, the traffic jam is really tight, so you're going to be experiencing that. Now here these traffic updates normally take you through to know which kind of route to use. Well, if you're to look back through here, the busiest in Kampala one is Jinja Road. If I'm to take you briefly to what is happening at Jinja Road, at the Jinja Road situation, you get to realize that the traffic lights are still faulty in the morning, and the flow is being managed by the traffic officers. It is not yet too busy at the Jinja Road, but of course it is still picking up slowly by slowly. And if you're to look at Yusuf Lulelo Road, it is also becoming tight around Mulago, becoming a little bit tight, but Kalere does stand out for now as one which is now having busy traffic jam flow in there, really tight. So you should be experiencing some 20 to 30 minutes of delay if I told you just still back at home. So it is better you woke up in the morning and decided to move slowly and then went to the different workplaces. So those are some of the situations that is coming in from our traffic updates this morning. And as you prepare your working day, these are some of the routes you should definitely think about once or twice before you wake up and switch on your engine to go out and catch that money this particular morning. Good morning, hope you're okay. And of course that is what has been coming up from the traffic updates this morning. Well, pretty much also on the other hand, I'll be coming up after the break to take you more through what is making headlines from Karibu, East Africa. Not only that, also from the SMB International update. So stick around, there is more to come.